Good afternoon, Your Excellency. Let me first of all thank you for this opportunity that you provided to Armenian youth, because it's really exclusive one, that we can meet you in person and ask our questions in topics that interest us. And if you do not mind today, I would like us to discuss your diplomatic experience, your diplomatic career, and ask some advice from you for those young Armenian students who have chosen diplomacy for their career path.
Gladly.
Yes. So for the start, I would like to know what brought you to diplomacy. How did you choose the diplomatic career?
Well, like often in life, it was, I would not say an accident, but I studied history. I wanted to become a teacher. At that time, it was difficult to find posts in schools. There was like too many teachers. So, and then I decided, what could I do? And a friend of mine said, you would match well in the Foreign Service. So he was a rather well-known diplomat. And I took the opportunity. I simply applied. And although I was a little bit rebellious for my interview, they took me. So it was not a dream of my childhood. I did it, but I must say I ended up in the right profession. I really never regretted for one moment that I had chosen this profession, and I think you have so many advantages to get to know so many countries and different cultures and people that I really liked it.
That's very interesting to know that being educated as a teacher, you later on continued your career as a diplomat. And as you mentioned, being a diplomat allows a person to discover different countries and different cultures. I know that you have quite a rich experience in your diplomatic career, and you have been ambassador previously of the EU to Belarus. You have been German ambassador to Latvia, and generally speaking, all your diplomatic career involves numerous countries. And I would like to know which country you like the best from the living point of view. And do you have any memorable moments that you would like to share with us from your postings?
Well, it is like ask which of your children you like best. I would say I like all of them, and for different reasons. You will never forget your first posting, so this is a special situation. So my first posting abroad was in Latvia directly after independence, re-independence, when we opened the German embassy again. So this was special because I started in a hotel room. We had a lot of funny anecdotes simply because, let's say, the Latvian side was learning protocol again because they were not independent. Yes. So it was a special time. And when I came back as an ambassador, I discovered that they still remembered me, because these first years they were so decisive for the country. And that's why Armenia always has a warm spot in my heart. And the same is honestly valid both with Belarus and Armenia. I was also twice in Belarus. It's often the people who make the difference. So when I see now what happens in Belarus, I'm very sad, because they are wonderful people and they should have a chance to live in freedom, and unfortunately they can't right now. And when I came to Armenia, I fell in love with this country, although it was a difficult period. We have a difficult period now too, but it was, I think, the 1st of March 2008 was a shock. And to be in the middle of these events was very decisive to understand the people and also to understand certain reactions. And then naturally you like a country, you like the culture. We had a lot of very touching moments. I remember that the president of the Federal Constitutional Court visited Armenia here with a delegation, and I still see us standing in Gerat when a choir sang. And these are special moments that I had a minister of the land of Saxony, and our bus broke down. So we were sitting in the middle of the nowhere on our way back from Gymri, and my driver, he had tut vodka. So while we were sitting in the desert waiting that another bus comes, he gave a round of tut vodka. So when we arrived at our restaurant, we were all a little bit in good spirit, I would say. I think what remains are mainly moments when you get to know people. And I have discovered such a great hospitality here, which I really loved. And although sometimes it's too much, and when I was invited by a friend for the Armenian Christmas in the family, I said only under one condition: you don't blackmail me to eat more. But you see, I like the spirit, I like this openness. I like it today even better because good now we are in a difficult period, but let's say when I came back, I had the impression people had opened up, there was so much hope in the air. It was such a positive atmosphere, and I was really happy to be back.
Yes, and I guess your previous experience in those difficult times that you mentioned really help you nowadays.
Yeah.
Yes. And speaking of your previous experience, since you were previously the German ambassador to Armenia, I would like to know if there are any differences in your everyday activities as the head of the delegation of the European Union, a union that represents 27 member states, to that of being a German ambassador in Armenia. How does that feel?
It is different and it is the same. Also, yes, I represent the whole European Union, and let's say you need to be in close contact with the colleagues from the member states. This works here perfectly, so we are a nice group and we understand each other. We all have the same objective, makes life much easier. The difference is naturally that we are giving a lot of assistance to Armenia. Which means we have the responsibility for quite an amount of projects, but also money. And this is naturally takes time. It means a responsibility also because we are spending the money of the European taxpayer. So we have to follow our own rules, which are sometimes complicated. But in a nutshell, we do similar things. We try to represent our countries, in my case the Union. We try to explain what we are doing. We try to connect to government, but to civil society, to young people, to reach out. I really hope that I can go more in the regions again. This was a little bit the sad story last year, but I intend to do more of it because I think you get to know better the country. And this is the ultimate goal of an ambassador. You are here to develop relations, but this means you have to understand the environment you are in. You have to listen to people. Sometimes you can give an advice, but only if they ask you. And naturally we stand up for certain values and try to reach out also to civil society to really show that it is important to listen to people and their ideas, and this will form the politics of the country. Because if you are having a consensus on the direction of a country, it's much easier to implement reforms, and we are here to support this. But I do it together with my colleagues, and I'm very, this is really, this we didn't have when I was here 2007, but now we have this Team Europe approach. And I think this is very important to say the European Union and the budget we have is coming from the member states, so they are part of it. But then we added with the initiatives, the special qualifications or interest of our member states. And the moments I was, well, very proud when I was standing at the airport and welcoming the emergency teams that came in last summer, whether it was the Lithuanian one or the Italian one, and then naturally the one of my own home country moved me very much. But you see, this was in the best sense what we are doing together. And in a nutshell, my German colleague does the same thing, and at that time I was closely cooperating with the first head of delegation here, who was a good friend because we have met before in Belarus. It is a little bit bigger, it is more coordination work, because we are often giving the initiative, or we are preparing a draft press release if we do it together, and then everybody joins in or comments, and then we finalize it and send it out. But in a nutshell, we do the same work as the bilateral colleagues, yeah.
Yes, just harmonization, yes?
Yeah. I think in the nutshell, this is the idea of diplomacy, is to find an understanding with whether you talk with your host country, or in this case, whether we agree as EU member states. In the small life, but also in the big circle, I'm a great friend of teamwork, you see, and there is perhaps, I learned it as a kid, because part of my family is coming from Romania, and naturally I visited my grandmother and I visited my cousins, who were my favorite cousins. But at that time, this country was a dictatorship, one of the worst dictatorships. And when I arrived in Bucharest at the airport, and I was fetched by my family, and then I came with all these tourists, because I always came with tourist groups, and they were behaving like little elephants in a porcelain shop. I learned that you should never humiliate people. I learned it from my cousins, yeah? Simply, don't come and tell everybody that you know better what they should do. Offer support, but do it on an eye-to-eye level. And this is really a lesson learned, which I got as a kid, because the girl that grew up in West Germany and had a good life, and then she went to see the family who lived under totally different conditions, where there was really the agencies that followed you in your lives, they were not very nice. So, but that you respect each other, and that you respect the way your near ones and also people you do not know are. This is the secret of the whole job. And this lesson I learned in my very private life with my own family, I took as a guidance for my professional life. I always try to see what people are doing. I'm not rushing to a judgment, because you can make mistakes. So see a development, have the patience, listen, and then people will listen to you.
Thank you, Ambassador. Thank you for sharing your wisdom with us.